Hello guys. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make cutouts in Photoshop. Now, I know I made a little video on this before, and some of you might have seen the old one, but I realized I kind of only went over like one way to do this, and I'm going to go over a few different ways. And I'm also going to show you how to fix cutouts if you are taking them on a green screen. But first, let's start with actually making a cutout. So step one, right-click, open with Photoshop. And now, I don't know on Windows how to open a file with Photoshop, but you could always just open Photoshop and then hit Command N to create a new document, and then create a document, and then drag and drop your file into it and hit enter, and it does the same thing. But it doesn't really matter. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you that because yeah, it gives me a good idea. Okay, so if I do this, right, you're going to see that there's this little symbol here. And now those of you who took the Photoshop test last year should know that this means it's a smart object. But if you don't know that, this means it's a smart object. So that means that I cannot edit it. So if I wanted to, let's say, erase a portion of this, I can't. It says this is smart object must be rasterized. So to rasterize, you right click and you go to rasterize layer, and then I can erase whatever I want and I can edit whatever I want. But basically this converts it into pictures rather than a linked object. So for example, if I had this right here as a raster object and then I took this original file and I altered it in some way, this wouldn't update. But if I had this as a smart object, which is a linked object, which is what the thing in the corner was, if I edited this original file, then whenever I close this file and reopened it, this would update on my page, even though I edited this, because it's linked. And that's how it also works in InDesign. And that's also why I always use raw Photoshop files in InDesign rather than JPEGs. But anyway, so we're going to not cut out this one because it's kind of dark, because Caddy doesn't know how to take pictures. We're going to edit this. So first thing we're going to do is unlock it, because if it's locked, you have to unlock it. If it's a linked smart object, then you have to, or if it's a smart object, then you have to rasterize it. Or you don't have to, but anyway, so yeah. This is this guy. So there are a few ways to do this, and it really depends on the complexity of your background. Like, this is a pretty simple background, and the background's out of focus, so this should be very simple to crop out, but I'm just going to go over the different ways. So by default, it should have quick selection on here. Quick selection works based on the size of your brush. You can either adjust with this or with your right and left bracket, make it look at my keyboard. Well, you can't look at my keyboard, but you can look at it getting bigger and smaller. And you use this one right here, and you could select the person, and then yay, look at that, he's selected. But it's kind of like sloppy in some places, but this works really well for certain things. This the quick selection tool, as those of you who are learning Photoshop right now are learning, this tool selects based on shapes and based on the lines and where Photoshop looks at and sees that shapes end, as opposed to the magic wand tool, which isn't good for people because it selects based on color. So this is all about the same tone, so it's going to select that. Also, to deselect, it's Command D, or I think edit deselect, or image deselect. I don't really, or no, so it's select then deselect. That's what it is. But like I do that. I just hit Command D because it's easy. The other one, which is a newer tool that I think is only in 2021 and newer, is this object select tool, or select object tool. So all you have to do is draw a box behind it, and Photoshop will use its virtual eyeballs and essentially do what the quick selection tool already did. Another way you could do this is go to object selection, hit select subject, and you don't even have to draw a box. It will think about it for you, and let's see how it does. All right. Oh, not that well, but all of these methods worked pretty well because this is a very easy photo. But if you have something with a more complicated background, it would be a little bit harder. So, what I'm going to show you is what to do when you're done selecting it. So let's just say you use the object select tool, and you get it like this, and you're like, oh, well, this guy's head is in there, and whatever. What you do is you turn on quick mask, and you could either turn on quick mask by clicking this button right here, or by hitting Q on your keyboard. And now I like my quick mask settings personally. I like them better. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I like my quick mask settings better reversed. So I'm gonna go out of quick mask. I think I double click this. I'm gonna go masked area. That's just my personal preference. I always have it select masked area so I can see my masked area. So all I did again was I double click this and select versus masked area. You could choose the color if you want it to be blue. It doesn't really matter. It works the same way. But anyway, so I'm going to turn quick mask on. And then I'm going to use my brush tool and my eraser tool. And now sometimes the eraser will add red and sometimes it will remove. That depends on your foreground, your background color. If I make my foreground color white, then my brush tool will erase and my eraser tool will draw. And if I make my foreground color black, then my brush tool will add and my eraser tool will erase, which is how I like it. So anyway, if I want to add this guy to the red, I can do this. I could also kind of fix up these sloppy looking edges by making a very small brush and kind of tracing this, which is difficult. But what you can do is if I click here, and now I'm not holding, and I hold shift on my keyboard and click here, it will make a straight line from one point to another. So I wouldn't use it for a huge section like that, but for a small section, you can go like this and crop out this guy's arm. So anyway, I can go around and do this. And I'm not going to make it perfect right now because for the sake of this tutorial, that's unnecessary. But if I was actually doing this for a real cutout, I would make sure that it was perfect. So we're just going to like do this the quick, easy, and sloppy way because this is just a tutorial and it doesn't really matter because I'm not using this because the printer edition is thankfully already done as of like 12 hours ago. But anyway, when you're done, exit out of quick selection and only what's in the crawling ants is selected. Now you can hit Command X, which is cut, create a new layer down here, and Command Shift V to paste in place, or just Command V to place wherever, but we're going to do Command Shift V and delete the background. And now he's cropped out. But here's the thing about this. That is called destructive editing. So if I want to get the kid in the background back, because it's destructive editing, it's altering the original image, and I can't do that. So let's say I want to do this non-destructively. I'll go back, right? I'm just hitting Command Z to go back, and I'm going to do all the same steps I just did until this point, right? And I still only have one layer. So instead of hitting copy or cut paste, Command X, Command V, I'm going to click this, which is creating a mask. And there you go. Now it's cropped out. So now if I decided, you know what, I actually want that kid in the background, I could, I think right click right here and do disable layer mask, and it will go back. And I could go back into quick, or I could just delete the mask. Right? Delete layer mask, and I can go back and select him again, and if I wanted to like select that kid, I could, and I could do that, and I could get him. So to reiterate, that is non-destructive editing because it preserves the original image within the Photoshop file, and the other ways the way I showed you with cut and paste is destructive editing. Usually non-destructive is better, but I'm pretty sure destructive creates smaller files. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's a thing. Again, using any of these tools works. It just depends on your background. If you have a simple background, it'll be fine. And then always edit using quick mask. So that's how you make cutouts. But now what if you make a cutout and it was taken on a green screen and the lighting was less than ideal and there's a lot of green? Well, here's how you fix that. Let's should I use Mariana as an example? Yeah, I mean, this is one I fixed. Let's use well, let's see. These are the ones I already... Yeah, let's use Mariana. Okay, so if I open this up, Tatiana cropped her out. No, here. This is the best one. Okay. This is Mariana. She's in newspaper. Everyone say hi, Mariana. Hi, Mariana. Alright, as you can see, this is a clipping mask. So I could potentially delete this, and the background of green comes back. But as you can see, the lighting was way too bright, and this didn't really work out very well. So what I want to do is I want to make it so she's not green, because I know her in real life, and she doesn't have green hair. So that's not good journalism. So there's several ways to do this. I think you could do a color balance thing, probably, but I don't know. I don't mess with that really. Sometimes I do, but not for situations like this. What I do is I use, what's this called? Color replacement tool. So right click the brush, go to color replacement. The way that this works is it will change the colors of certain shapes. So use the eyedropper tool, which is over here, or click I on your keyboard and select a color. So I'm going to select this color here because it's like a nice brown. And I'm going to go back to this tool. And I'm going to make this smaller either up here or on my keyboard with right bracket and left bracket. And I'm just going to kind of like go over this. And as you can see, it's getting rid of the green. If you turn up your tolerance, it will make it more whatever the color that you have selected is. So for this, it's kind of necessary, like to have a higher tolerance, just because she's very, very green, and there's a lot of green here, and it's not just a little bit, which is tricky with someone with hair like this to get that right. But I'm going up here, and as you can see, you can kind of see where I'm drawing because it's a different color. So I'd hit I again to select again, and I would kind of keep on doing this. Like I'm going in big sections right now because like I'm just showing you for a tutorial sake. But usually someone won't be this green. Usually they'll just have a fine line of green around them, and all you need to do is trace the edges. But in this situation, she's extraordinarily green, so you'll have to kind of like paint in. Which obviously, again, use smaller brush strokes. Don't use these big brush strokes, and turn your tolerance down because you don't want to fill it in like that much. I'm just doing it like this because, again, this is a tutorial, and I'm not actually trying to edit this perfectly. I'm just showing you the method, not really the process. So yeah. Essentially, look at this versus this. It looks like very different. And that's how you edit green out of this. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. And thank you for learning.